On September 5th, as I went through the tedious task of hanging my posters to conceal the vacant walls of my Centenn single, I began to relive each year I've spent here. Gazing out the generously revealing window on the second floor, I entered a trance, thinking back to the commencement of my junior, sophomore, and freshman years. The first night of my freshman year, after I had ended a tearful phone call home, I was overtaken by emotional exhaustion and fell into a deep slumber. Halfway through the night, however, I was woken up by my roommate, alarmingly screaming, "Zachary!" in her sleep. I later found out that was her brother's name. The first night of my sophomore year, I spent with Maddie James, trying to kill the plethora of ants in our room with Lysol and then vacuum them up. And finally, my junior year, I spent teaching Maddie Esty that the dorm across Vogue Courtyard is in fact CPT and not HTT, as she had previously thought. Though my first night activities through the years have varied across the spectrum, from laughably amusing to downright strange, each September I try to keep some type of uniform routine and begin my year with the same practice, covering the blank walls with a colorful decoration and words of wisdom, such as, "Keep calm and have a cupcake," as my fan buzzes in the background and the clothes stolen from my sister's closets still lay in my unpacked suitcases. It is through this repetitive task that I gather my thoughts and set my goals for the year ahead of me. I open my computer, turn on Michael Bublé, and allow myself to succumb to his velvet-like voice as I begin picturing the luxurious room into which I wish to transform the 4 white walls I've been given. It was this year in particular, however, that I strayed from my normal ritual. Perhaps it was the fact that I had absent-mindedly forgotten my fan, turned on my senior year playlist instead of Michael, or that I was forced to discard some of my posters due to tears I had created in my haste to pass final room inspections and begin my summer a mere 3 months previous. Either way, I felt an anxiety, a nostalgia, and an apprehension creep up on me, causing my stomach to turn in a way that I had solely experienced in the aftermath of consuming a little too much red velvet cake. Taft had been such a sure and comforting place to me each year before, and I didn't understand this newfound trepidation. Writing off my symptoms as simply first-week jitters, I went about finding my new routines and navigating the new schedule with ease, and soon, I regrettably fell into the senior girl stereotype. Letting the power of senior cuts in the jig and leaving first at the end of meetings go to my head, I screamed at a freshman boy on the camo team during Super Sunday when he didn't get on the ground fast enough to make the human Taft, stating, "Why are you having so much trouble with this? It's not that hard," and then proceeded to criticize him for not laying in a straight line. In the height of Dress to Impress pandemonium, I decided it would be a great idea to pick up one of the colorful blocks and bring it to the middle of the dance floor. I excitedly bobbed and weaved through the crowd, simultaneously incorporating some stellar dance moves, as my little arms supported the neon block above my head. Halfway through the crowd, however, a random limb came out of nowhere, as is to be expected at D2I, and hit the block forcefully. I tried to steady the large piece of plastic, but alas, my upper body failed, and the cube went soaring into the air. A nearby sophomore boy, for some reason, thought I was starting some kind of cube bopping game and jumped to spike the block deeper into the crowd, screaming, "Yeah!" I'm not quite sure what happened to my block after that, but I am quite certain I was the culprit behind a couple of injuries that night. I held a bench pressing competition in the weight room with Allie Ely, finally stepped behind the partition of the jig when Sandy told me to come get my order, and unfortunately got a little carried away with a water gun at scene in the jig one night after sit-down. However, as each power trip wanes and my water gun goes dry, I am always brought back down to earth upon crossing the threshold of Centenn 219, aka Palais Quétais. The pictures and notes adorning the walls that I can temporarily call mine have acted as personal road signs these past 3 years as I nomadically have carried myself about Taft. Saving every letter a friend or family member has written to me throughout my years here, pretty pack rat-esque of me I must admit, has not only helped aesthetically. The letters on each pristinely kept piece of paper serve as my watchful eyes, though occasionally their presences are overlooked. The majority of glances around my room at the notes varying from "Love you lots, happy studying, XO mom," to a "fa-la-la-la-la" card from my sister reminding me to, quote, "partake in December merriment," fill me with a less apparent confidence than any senior title can even attempt to match. Their words remind me of lessons learned, memories past, and tests I still have yet to face. Able to articulate my attachment to the shreds of paper and how their messages resonate with me now, I, only a year ago, was unsure of what the gesture of hanging each note added to my life. It was last fall, however, that I learned just how a few little words have the ability to inspire tremendous growth. The beginning of my junior year, just a night after Maddie Esty learned the true layout of Taft's campus, my grandmother died suddenly of an aneurysm. It was after several days of rifling through old photographs she had kept and reminiscing about stories with her with my family, I learned of the driving force behind her strength. Quite some years previous, when my father was just a toddler, my grandfather, her husband, had contracted polio and was confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. The burden of this reality struck him hard, and thus he fell into a seemingly unyielding depression. My grandmother, unable to act as the sole support system for their family, wrote on a chalkboard in their kitchen the phrase, "Suffering is optional." In her mind, one had the choice of either brushing past the self-pity and sorrow to face greater goals, or wallowing in the toxic pool of suffering that ultimately limits one's ability to live. Though I failed to hang a chalkboard with said message in my nest, it didn't go with the decor, I call upon her words whenever I'm faced with a new challenge, knowing that I am the sole being who can inflict suffering upon myself, supplies me with comfort as I tackle the initial blank document of a PAP article, or perhaps face the daunting task of addressing hundreds of heads in their designated velvet seats. With her and several others' words in mind, I pushed through the testing moments of junior year, past the sea of swirly, twirly gumdrops, made it through the candy cane forest, and walked through the Lincoln Tunnel. Words of wisdom, thankfulness, and love are easily found in my room and stored in my thoughts. However, my uneasy feeling of senior year inspired me to search for phrases that encompass the wide variety of moments my Taft career has held. Dear PO ladies, thank you for filling me with false excitement by mixing my name up with Katie Harrell's once again. Sincerely, she shops online every week. Dear Mac House third floor food klepto, I'm still waiting for you to replace my vegan ginger snap cookies. Sincerely, you thought I wouldn't notice. Dear Cider Donuts, I know one day our love will be mutual. Sincerely, Thursdays truly are the best days. And dear Physics, it was never meant to be. Cordially, you tainted freshman year. Though the day approaches on which I must return my room to its original colorless state and remove each memory from the walls, I doubt when the time comes I will carelessly tear my posters down like I did in my hurried state last year. I will feel no rush to leave the polished halls or the perfectly manicured fields behind, because they represent the foundations upon which I've built that dreamlike luxurious room that I envision at the start of each year. Though rooted deep within Taft's teachings is a statement not to be served, but to serve, and throughout my 4 years as a Taftie, I have truly learned the meaning of this phrase. I cannot help but feel selfish that Taft has served my life more than I have served in return. Therefore, I only see it fitting to write one kind of letter to encompass each echoing hallway, empty PO, cemented brick, and dirty droplet of water in the pond. Dear Taft, you've challenged my every belief and encouraged me to find my greater depths. You've showed me how to appreciate the smallest of scribbles and how to live each day with spirit and sass. You've taught me the meaning of suffering and the liberation of overcoming it, and proved to me that striving for excellence is worth every minute of sleep lost. I will never forget the creak of each door, the echo of every hallway, or the sound of each awkward hello on the path. And I will always be grateful for my time spent within your humbling yet inviting bricks. To you, I extend my endless gratitude and hope that one day I may learn to serve others in the way that you have selflessly served me. You are my giving tree, and I promise to come sit on your stump when I am old and gray. Thank you.